we all kind of know Disney, they are looking to get out of the physical media game. I mean, they may not be saying that outright, but their actions show.
Whoa.
I mean, they're not letting Australia buy their physical media anymore. They've pulled all that. Their Disney Movie Club, which has like limited edition and exclusive Blu-rays for fans, they're ending that. They're taking away the Disney Movie Club and their streaming service. They are focusing on Disney Plus, and it didn't even look like they were going to release titles from Disney Plus until we now have WandaVision, Loki season 2 is coming, Obi-Wan's coming, we've got Prey. So that seemed to be turning things around. But nonetheless, Disney's future has clearly been pointing to a physical media-less future. Well, there's been a big development in this because, yes, Disney has basically given up physical media, but they've given it up to Sony. Here's what the Digital Bits had to say about this. And this is going to be a little bit lengthy. I'm going to read this at length, so just bear with me. It says Disney and Sony have just inked a major deal for Sony Pictures Home Entertainment to take over all of Disney's physical media production going forward. This means that Sony will handle and oversee the actual authoring and compression of discs, that they'll work with the replicators and packaging vendors, and that they'll oversee the titles as they go out to the distributors and the retail stores. It hasn't helped that the studios, this is talking about Disney, it hasn't helped that the studio's physical media operation, which is now almost an afterthought in the shadow of its Disney Plus business and activities, has been organizationally, I can't say that tonight, tied to Disney's digital and streaming operation ever since. Based on reporting from multiple sources, what this has meant in recent months is that virtually every decision about which catalog titles to release on disc and which features to include on them, not to mention every technical decision that naturally arises during the course of the production of those titles, requires scores of people to be involved at Disney. And the people who are actually working on the discs don't have decision-making power about anything. They have to kick decisions upstairs to their bosses, who have to kick it upstairs to their bosses, and so on. Multiple levels of management are involved, which means that decisions that should take people 5 minutes instead take people a week or more to decide. So basically, what it's saying is it's become such a disorganized hassle with the Disney Plus, with all the different departments for Disney's physical media branch to basically function. they're spending so much time on just the decision process with all their stuff that they're losing money with their physical media in doing so. So what they've decided to do, which I don't know, this might be unprecedented, maybe it's not, it sounds unprecedented, is they've given all of the physical media rights to Sony. So Disney isn't going to have control over what they put on physical media, how they distribute it, all this kind of stuff. This is now Sony's. Sony essentially owns Disney physical media. They will be the ones who decide to distribute it, where it will go, how it will be packaged, the design, all this stuff will now be Sony's control. And from the business perspective of things, I can't speak too much to that because obviously I'm not in the business, so I don't really know all that much. But as a fan, I honestly think this is probably our best case scenario because Disney has shown that they do not believe in physical media, that Disney is not interested in keeping physical media as a priority. So instead of just eliminating it entirely, they've given the responsibilities to someone else. And I'm pretty sure this means that Sony gets to keep all the revenue. I would imagine from the physical media sales, I imagine that would all go to Sony, not Disney. Maybe there's some kind of deal where they split it. I don't know. But Sony made the Blu-ray player. Sony is in Blu-ray production. They were the heads of Blu-ray production at one point. So I think that for us as physical media collectors, this just gave a new breath of life to at least Disney's physical media. Now, in the article, it doesn't go on to say anything like, and now Sony is selling Disney physical media back to Australia. Like, it doesn't say anything about that. I don't know exactly how that's going to work for people in Australia, where it's already been pulled. But I think that this extended the life of Disney physical media at least a little bit here in North America. Jacob, you hear this news, you hear that physical media of Disney is now going to Sony. They will distribute it. Are you excited about this? Do you think Sony is the right person to give this responsibility to? Do you think that this means we could get more titles from Disney Plus released on physical media?
First off, drink some water. Go right ahead.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Thank
Go right ahead. Okay. Lots to unpackage here. As a big
you.
physical media buyer, Zach is too. I know I've only seen it once, but Zach's literally looking in front of his collection.
Yeah, I got my stuff
I
there. I'll
say
show it off one day.
he's got. I've seen it. He's even got a Spider-Man suit on his door for some reason.
I've got two.
Even better. Okay. So basically, anyone out there who had a Disney bundle, Disney Club thing, which I did at one time because this was the only way. Because you see right there,
Yep.
Disney
Yep.
Blu-ray. Hey, these two movies you can't buy because that was the only way to get them. So, with that being said, with that being shut down, Sony, please keep doing that because that's how you buy a Goofy movie, George the Jungle, Honey with the Kids. It's a whole nother conversation.
Well, I would imagine that all the titles on Disney Movie Club would even now belong to Sony.
Well, I think you said it best by honestly just anyone out there listening to Zach and what this article said. I think you're right. I think at us movie collectors, physical media buyers, this is a win because if they didn't do this, we wouldn't get Marvel movies on Blu-ray. We wouldn't get Disney movies on Blu-ray. So they at least said, "Hey, Sony, take control of this. We got enough making movies and I mean Disney runs everything. So they have enough on their plate." So at least somebody in there said, "People like buying Marvel movies on 4K." Me. People like buying the Disney movies on 4K. Me. Sometimes on Blu-ray. But the chance that one day Sony itself would stop considering putting physical media on physical media is so crazy to me because, like you said, at one point when Blu-ray first came out, that was Sony. Sony was Blu-ray. Like that was their baby, basically. Remember we all bought DVDs? That was distribution by the companies. Then Sony was like, so we're gonna make a Blu-ray player in high definition, surround. So for them to continue it on, that's a win for us. That's a win for us. Look at that as a good thing. Now looking at the choices they have, that's where it gets interesting because don't forget, hell, Zach reminded me before the stream started. It's not just Marvel. It's not just Disney. Also Pixar. You gotta think about 20th century.
Yeah.
Does that mean we're ever gonna get Barbarian on Blu-ray? Maybe, but like who knows? It's in Sony's control, and I would assume they cannot just make all that money. There's got to be some type of deal, like, hey,
yeah, there's got to be something, some kind of contract that they have going on.
Because every Marvel movie that comes out, people buy it. Like honestly, like I mean, look at Oppenheimer this year. When that movie came out in 4K, it was like one of the hardest 4Ks to get. So you're telling me no one wants to buy physical media? That is a joke, in my opinion. So with everything that you said in this article, because you read a lot, all I can say is it's a win for me and physical media buyers. It's going to be intriguing to see what they do because it makes it look, it sounds like they're very much going to look at like how they release it, what they release. I would hope they would release everything, but there's a few movies out there that just like, for example, Barbarian doesn't have a physical release. Will that change? Probably not, but maybe now there's no new ownership. We might see a few more. I feel like every Disney Plus movie should get a physical release. I feel like every movie, I mean, you can't buy Coda, the best picture movie winner, on a physical movie. You cannot own the best picture movie.
Was that Apple TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a good movie. I remember that movie.
Yeah. The Killers of the Flower Moon movie, I don't know if they've announced a physical release yet, but like I can't buy that movie on physical release right now.
Yeah, no, I haven't been able to find it anywhere. Like even the date, like, hey, when is this coming out on physical media? There's like no date that's being released for Killers of the Flower Moon.
I say I gotta look at this in a win way. We won. They still gonna do it. It's just not Disney doing it. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but hey, as long as it's in a Blu-ray case on a Blu-ray disc, I'm probably gonna buy it.
I'm sure you'll notice a little bit of a difference, like on the Blu-ray case, because Disney, they've had like a bunch of different phases of Blu-ray. Like, do you remember when like every Blu-ray that Disney released, they kind of like put the poster in like a square box, and they'd have like the digital media and all that kind of banner come. I hated the look of those. I hated the way those looked. They were so bleh. I think my Black Panther Blu-ray actually looks like that. But then they like transitioned out of that and got better again. So I'm sure you'll notice a little bit of a difference maybe with the casing and some of the design. As far as like I'm sure the disc quality will still be great. I mean, these people are the ones that manufactured Blu-ray, so I'm sure they know how to do it and it'll be fine. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know all the repercussions. I know everything about this deal because like that was just a little snippet of a very long article that I read today. And so there's a lot of still some questions. Like, can Sony just go? Do they go to Disney's vault of anything? And they're like, you know what? Let's make this physical media. Like, I imagine there needs to be some kind of approval, but at the same time, it says that Disney has no control over their physical media anymore. So if if Sony's like, you know what? You know what's an underrated gem that no one can watch? Song of the South. Let's put that back out on physical media. Like, is Sony able to do that? Because Disney has been very protective about their vault in the past.
I mean, they made a whole advertisement back when I was younger on VHS and DVD, the Disney Vault. Like, do you remember seeing those ads before watching a Disney? So yeah, Disney once upon a time used to make that a whole marketing scheme. So with what you just told me, Sony owns it, then that should mean, again, I don't mean you don't know the business paper. We don't know it.
Maybe not owns it, but at least has full access to it and is responsible for
it. They could be like, hey, I know it's already out in physical, but I'm using like a hyperbole. Can't talk.
Hyperbole?
Yeah. So like Prey is a 20th Century Fox movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Disney did release that on physical media. So now with this new deal, if Disney had so like the new Planet of the Apes movie, 20th Century movie, that's a Disney movie, whatever. But like Sony is going to be the ones be like, all right, we're going to get a 4K Blu-ray and a steelbook of Planet of the Apes. Maybe they'll be like, no Blu-ray, maybe just 4K and steelbook. Who knows? Maybe they could do that, but like
they would have the full. How I understand it is they have full control over those decisions. Because even in the article, like it sounds like the whole point of this is to just like one less thing to worry about for Disney. Because they were saying in the article that it has to go to this boss, to this boss, to this boss. It was just so nonsensical. It made no sense to continue that way. That they were just like, you know what? Let's just forget about this nonsense. Let's take this like hassle off our back and let's just give it to Sony. And the whole purpose of that, at least reading this article, sounds like so that we don't have to deal with the decisions anymore. So if you have Sony now suddenly coming and being like, hey, we need to ask Disney if we can release something, or we need to ask Disney if we can do this, then that defeats the purpose as to why they gave it to Sony in the first place. So my understanding reading this article is just Sony can do whatever Sony wants to do, and Disney is just like, we're not even going to worry about it. You guys have our physical media, do what you want.
They say no to Spider-Man 4 on Blu-ray, but they'll say Blu-ray 4K to Madam Web.
Now that would be a slap in the face to the fans.
Oh, I would be so mad because I'm gonna buy Madam Web on Blu-rays too.
I mean, you're a physical media collector and probably a completionist because it comes with the hobby. So I'm sure you have Morbius and Venom.
My motto now is because how sad physical media has become. I try to buy a lot now because I'm like, who knows if I'm ever going to see that again? Because I don't know if you saw, but like the movie 28 Days Later, you can't buy on Blu-ray right now. It is out of print. So like,
wow,
I can't buy it. And that's a really good movie. It's a movie that a lot of people know about, but you can't buy it right now. It's also non-streaming anywhere. You can't watch it.
Yeah. And that's another thing about Sony is they are not in the streaming game. They don't have a streaming service. They're not interested in streaming. So it makes perfect sense for them to have the physical media, I think.
When you say it like that, actually, yeah. If they don't have a streaming service, then you have no excuse, Sony. Release your damn movies.
Well, thank you very much for checking out this clip from our live show that we do every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time called Zach Milne Talks Live. If you like talking movies, if you like talking movie news, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button before you leave? We do that on this channel all the time. But if you still need some time before you fully commit, you can check out the full video this clip is from right here, and you can check out another video over here. The subscribe button's right here.